whenever you're on holiday in Ghana, because you're on holiday, you're doing nothing. When you wake up in the morning, all that you think about is, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? On this particular day, it was fufu. I'm like, chai, this morning, dear, fufu must happen. Tintim, dear, ni be papa. So that's what we are making today. So before we do anything at all, we start making our fire. And this one, we're making it on our coal pot. Okay, so we set our fire on our coal pot, better known as crow pot. Okay, so what we just put in right here is the methane, is the chaff we got from making in our benkwine soup. No, that's what we. And this one is the local way. There's no kerosene. There is nothing to help ignite this fire. It's just the methane, which is the chaff from the making the benkwine. Remember, you give it the fan, just say boom, like your life depends on it. Then you see the fire set like boah. So we have set the fire. So let's dry our banchi. So we are going to peel our cassava and our plantain. So fufu, we use cassava and plantain. And today we are going the original way, the the pounding one. Okay. So it is a hard one. It's a hard way. But the joy of eating this food is because it's like you suffer before producing this food. You really enjoy it. So yes, you just use your knife to peel the cassava and you remove the stems from the middle and you cut them into pieces as I'm doing right there, and the camera is running away or hiding. Okay, you give it a good wash. Usually they are dirty because they are straight from the ground. They uprooted from the ground, so they are dirty. So you make sure you give it a very good wash, and that's what I've done. Okay, so once that was done, I start to put them in my pot. So I'm using that design. That design is cast aluminium, I'm sure. Yeah. So we just use that, and I've put all the cassava in it. So the next step is for me to add some water, and I'm adding hot water because we want this thing to be quick. It has to cook quickly. Okay. Yeah. Our plantain. Okay, so now I've washed my plantain, or my plantain is in water. So as I wash, I peel that as well. And I'm going to put all on top of the cassava. That's how we do it. The brodier always goes on the cassava. The plantain always goes on the cassava. Okay, so that is that. And then I'll add more hot water, and then we'll let it cook. Okay, so once it's ready, then we go into the pounding phase. Okay, so it's ready. And as you can see nicely, I'll pour all the water, which I wouldn't show because, Charlie, I was doing it all by myself. And now the pounding has begun. Okay, so we have my brother-in-law over there pounding the fufu with vim. Charlie, that bit I don't like doing. I don't like pounding fufu. Fufu, mean what? But I'm ever ready to come. I would turn the fufu nicely as I'm doing right there. Okay, so the plantain, we always pound the plantain first. The reason why, I have no idea, but that's how my mom did it growing up. Okay, so we pound the plantain first. So you just pound it, and brother-in-law was telling me that the most important part of the pounding is the beginning. Here, you make sure that you pound hard to eliminate all the lumps. Okay, you don't wait for the time where you have to mix it with the cassava. Okay, otherwise it may be too soft. So this is where you actually give it your all. Okay, and you find out that the work is not just being done by the pounder. Okay, the pounder and the tenor. Okay, the tenor, which is me in this case. No, I also have a responsibility. Your responsibility to make sure that there are no lumps. You remove all the lumps, or you point out where all the lumps are for the pounder to pound and to crush the lumps. Share fufu tutorial. This one is for information. I'm sure people know this one. This one is just for information. Okay. So yeah, so we pound the plantain, and so you know, this food was made over 2 days. Okay, actually not the food. The video was made over 2 days, right? Because by the time this one was finishing, it was late at night, and the lighting was bad. So I had to wait and continue on another day, okay? So if you can see me, I point. You see my finger pointing at specific places where I feel there are lumps for him to pound and to crush the lumps, okay? So once the plantain comes together, okay, then you take out the plantain and then you start pounding the fufu. But sometimes you find out the plantain isn't coming together. There was a point, but I couldn't video it. I missed it completely. It wasn't coming together, okay? And then you add a little cassava, because here, this fufu, cassava is the binder, okay? We use cassava to bind. And here, as you can see, the pounder is actually pounding all corners, making sure that he's crushing the lumps, because fufu abawo mudie, Charlie plan there. It is not nice, but sometimes what you for do, sometimes the cassava or the plantain, no, Charlie, it is not malleable, just say, and so to me and breaky, he's not able to break the lumps properly, okay? So yeah, so he's done his job, and now we'll put everything together, and then I'll take it out from the mortar, and then we'll start with the cassava, okay? So I'll take it off and then put it in a separate bowl, and cover it, and then we'll start with the cassava. So the same thing is going to happen to the cassava, okay? But sometimes what I find other people do is they actually straight away they start to add the cassava to the plantain. Once the plantain it's been pounded nicely, they start to add it. But in my household growing up, we didn't do that. We always did it separately. The reason, I have no idea. And then at some point in this pounding of fufu, some people were not ready to eat. So what we normally do is we add some salt to it, okay? We sprinkle some salt on it, and then we pound it so that it preserves it. Otherwise, the fufu will go bad, within a couple of, a few hours. I won't say a couple of hours, a few hours it will go bad. Okay, so as you can see, the pounder is also doing that job again. He's very good at pounding fufu, I tell you. He's actually going to all the corners and pounding and making sure that, the cassava, there are no lumps in the cassava. And I'm also doing my bit. Charlie, when you see the job cry, you see, Charlie, the tenor is also very good. And I'll say that actually, just a disclaimer, if I'm not good, forgive me, because I don't remember the last time I did this. I would say over 20 years now. Menkan fufu. I don't remember that menkan fufu. Hey, but then if you know, you know, Charlie. If you know, you know. Okay. So there was a point where you see that I am actually hey, Brofi Drew, what am I doing? Well, you find that the edges of the mortar, which is the withdraw, will be dry. So from time to time, you have to use some water to, just use some water to hydrate it, okay? So we finish with the cassava, and now we come to combine both the cassava and the plantain. So we start with the plantain first, and again, that is how we did it at home. So probably someone will start with the cassava first, but in my household, it's plantain first, because the plantain has been lying down for a while, and it may have firmed up a bit, so you need to soften it a bit, okay? So that mixing it will be very easy. So we keep pounding as we mix it. But today we have the powder, and we have machines to blend it in our blenders and our food processors. So it makes the process very, very easy, right? And then that is me hydrating the edges of the withdraw. The withdraw, by the way, is the mortar, and the warmer is the pestle, what you are using to pound. Okay, the pounder. No, the pounder is the person pounding, and the pestle is the instrument. Okay. So now it's become very soft, and if I can go back a little bit, it reaches a point, you have to pound it softly, okay? Softly, so that it's like you're not breaking, but you're trying to bring it together. That's what we do when we use machines to do. That's what we do in the asanka or apotoyowa or the black earthenware bowls, okay? That's what we do. We try to make it so that it's easier to mold. But when you're using the original, the molding is easy. Like you see, just cut it and then you mold it so easily and nice, and it becomes very, very smooth. Okay, this is just to make it very presentable, right? And look at how nice. And the one I took was small, so I had to you take some and you put it under. Charlie, experience it. Mekayo, try. The fufu was actually nice. Charlie, there's a difference. It's like day and night. When you eat this one, you eat the powdered one. Even the one that we do it in a machine to cry. I mean, said the scent be that comes from the withdrawn and the woman, you don't get it. So it doesn't make, the thing authentic. Okay, so as I always say, this is a authentic way of making fufu. It's the best. Here my sister and her husband share almost fighting, almost Charlie Sammy a chemumi, so do be a huni obedi and yes we are no one Charlie will be bedi jobi inti chemumi. So I had to divide it into two for them. So that is it. Pretty much that is how we make fufu from scratch. Okay, the original way, not the powdered one or the one we use our own processes to make. Okay, so yeah, so it was done and we serve it with this particular one. We served it with abenkwan, but the day before we served it with some chicken soup. That was what I showed at the beginning of the video. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, and please like and subscribe and share. Okay, if you really like this content. Thank you, and I will see you in the very next one. Bye bye.